Okay, part one of the Dutchess Dior and the Frenchman's situation. So I had to re-record part one because the first one that I recorded, TikTok was not allowing it to be shared. So what I want to say is that this this had nothing to do with the love work that they were doing on each other. Um, he already had a hex on him way before they even met. When a worker places a hex on someone, especially a person that may not necessarily believe in spiritual things or may not be they may not have they may not necessarily view things in a spiritual way. They don't have a connection to the spiritual realm. Sometimes that creates a blockage for a worker. Sometimes the work won't take effect until there is there is something that happens to kind of help to activate the work that is being done. So what I mean by that is he had a situation from what I gather from watching the live, and I don't know this to be 100% true, but as a root worker, I kind of can weed out based off of the things that he was saying. I can weed out what was actually the cause of when it pertains to the spiritual part of this. And I know that it did not come from the love work that they was doing on each other. I believe that whoever that IOB person was, which everybody is calling Udi, but he said in the live that his name was IOB. That person may have been a close friend of his. Because with them telling everything the way that they did, you have to go and kind of piece together the fragments and figure out the facts of everything that was going on. So she was definitely telling the truth when she said that he was setting up his friends. I believe that because that was his wife and he trusted her, that he shared that secret with her about his friend Udi, IOB, and he was not expecting that she would do that. I think that what may have happened is he may have set that friend up. And everybody knew that he did it, but he lied and said that he didn't. The family had no proof that he had did it, but I think that they probably knew deep down in their hearts that he did. I think that maybe somebody in the family may have went to a reader to verify and confirm that he may have been the one that caused his friend's death. That he may have intentionally caused his friend's death. When they confirmed that, they went to a root worker because they knew that they were not going to get justice in the courts because they had no proof that he had set his friend up. Now, y'all got to remember, she met him while he was in prison. He was taking care of her while she was in prison. So when he came home, he married her. When he married her, he figured that it was a safe space for him to share what was going on with him because of the guilt that he felt that was weighing heavily on his conscience. So he shared that secret with her. And he did not suspect that she would be on live dropping names and threatening to share that information with people. But I think little did he know, he had already had a hex placed on him. And like I said, sometimes it takes certain situations to activate the work. So He said that he didn't know anything about root work until he met her. He said that it was her and her family that exposed him to root work. What I think that he was saying was that she started telling him things about root work. And then when he started paying attention to the things that was going on in his life, he started thinking, well, maybe she's doing work on me, her and her family. She added fuel to the fire when she told him that it could have possibly been her godmother. But it had nothing to do with her godmother, Miss Jennifer. It had nothing to do with the love work that she was doing on him or the love work that he was doing on her. The hex had already been placed on him. And when she opened him up to the spiritual side of things, and he went and got a reading done, and he went and had reversal work done to reverse the hex that he thought was on just his finances, that opened him up to the fullness of the hex. So I know it was a hex based off of the fact that all of the areas of his life was being affected. Whenever a hex is placed on someone, and people always ask me, well, how do you know when somebody has a hex on you or when somebody has rooted you? So you'll know. You'll definitely know. And I think he started to notice that everything in his life was going wrong. He was going back and forth to prison. He had said in the live that he went to prison. He had got out, and then 2 weeks later, he was right back in prison. He also said that way before he met her, he was getting money. He never was broken. He never had any issues with getting money. Now he can't keep a job, and his finances is like he has no luck with his finances. That's number 2. Number 3 was his health. He had just found out that him and his wife had herpes. Number 4, his marriage, his relationship, his love life, all of that was affected. And so number 5 ultimately would be his life being ceased. That's a heavy hex. That's a hex that a worker will do when the target has done something absolutely vile. That is what we call justified work. So yeah, that's where this comes from. There was a hex placed on him way before Duchess Dior came into the picture. She just ended up being a casualty of war. And usually when a worker places a hex like this, that hex includes everybody that's close to the target. So the fact that he caused someone to be unalived and he brought pain to somebody's family, that was incorporated into the hex. So everybody that was associated with him, everybody that he loved is being affected. Everybody that he loved became a casualty of war. They became basically a target. And unfortunately, she ended up being unalived because of something that had nothing to do with her. Now, don't get me wrong, the relationship was definitely toxic. He definitely showed all of the signs of unaliving her. But a part of me feels like he had premeditated, or he had been premeditating how he would unalive her. But that all came from the hex that had been placed on him. It had nothing to do with the love work that they was doing on each other. The only way love work will affect somebody to this magnitude is if the person is being forced to be in love with you. They were not being forced because they had already had feelings for each other.